Good evening, dreamer. Welcome back to Boring Science for Sleep, where quiet questions become gentle stories and curiosity guides you softly toward rest. Tonight we listen not to words or music, but to whispers hidden in the fabric of the world. Look closely at a leaf, at the curve of a seashell, at the ripples of water in a pond. Beneath their beauty lies something subtle and constant: mathematics, patterns repeated, ratios preserved, spirals unfolding in silence. You may not see equations written in the petals of a flower, but they are there, in the spacing of seeds, in the rhythm of branches, in the symmetry of snowflakes. Numbers and shapes that arise, not from chalkboards or books, but from nature itself, older than any human thought. Have you ever wondered why certain patterns feel so familiar, so comforting, so beautiful? Why a sunflower's spiral seems perfect? Why a snowflake's arms all mirror one another? Why waves ripple in harmony? It is because the world is speaking in mathematics, a language you do not need to solve, only to feel. Tonight, we will wander gently into these hidden numbers: circles, spirals, ratios, fractals, rhythms. We will see how they repeat across scales, from the smallest cells to the largest galaxies. And as we drift, the patterns themselves may soothe you, reminding you that the universe is ordered, even when life feels uncertain. So, let go of the day's noise, breathe with the rhythm of waves, rest in the symmetry of stillness, and know that numbers are carrying you quietly, like a lullaby written into the world. Before we begin, tell me, where are you listening from tonight? And what time is it where you are? Wherever you are, the patterns surround you, always, patiently, silently. If you look closely at the world around you, you will see shapes whispering from every corner. A circle drawn in the sun, a line etched in the horizon, a spiral curled in a seashell, the branching veins of a leaf. They are not random, they are not accidents. They are geometry, silent, repeating, constant. The circle is perhaps the simplest, and yet the most eternal. You see it in the roundness of the moon, in the curve of a raindrop, in the ripple that spreads when a stone touches water. The circle has no beginning and no end. It is a line that folds upon itself, a shape of completeness. To gaze at a circle is to sense wholeness, to feel the quiet truth that nature favors balance. Even your own eyes, gazing outward, are shaped as circles, and within them, light bends in arcs to let you see. Lines, too, appear everywhere. The horizon is a line, where earth meets sky. The veins on a leaf draw lines, reaching outward like rivers. Crystals grow in straight edges, carving geometry from silence. A spider's web is a weaving of lines, each one both fragile and strong, arranged with such precision it seems drawn by a careful hand. Then there are spirals, not just in seashells but in whirlpools, in hurricanes, in the galaxies that wheel silently across the night sky. Spirals are geometry in motion, circles stretched and carried forward, repeating endlessly as they expand. They remind us that the world is not only still but also moving, patterns unfolding with grace. And branching, consider the way trees grow, from trunk to branches, from branches to twigs, each division smaller yet similar to the last. Rivers flow this way too, great channels splitting into streams, streams into rivulets, rivulets into tiny veins of water. Lightning forks across the sky in the same pattern, branching light tearing through darkness. Even within you, blood flows in branching vessels, carrying life to every corner. Branching is geometry repeated, guiding both trees and bodies, both clouds and rivers. These shapes, circle, line, spiral, branch, appear again and again. They are nature's alphabet, letters written in stone and water, leaf and sky. Geometry is not something imposed on the world by human thought. It is the world itself, arranging itself in harmony. Symmetry, too, is everywhere. A butterfly's wings mirror one another, each side a reflection of the other. Snowflakes crystallize into six-fold symmetry, each arm repeating the same geometry. Even your own body is built in symmetry: 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 hands, 2 feet, a left and a right. To be symmetrical is to be balanced, to be whole. Nature repeats this again and again, as though the universe itself prefers harmony. And yet, what is striking is not only the shapes themselves, but the way they cross boundaries. A spiral is not only in a seashell, but also in a galaxy. A circle is not only in a raindrop, but also in the orbit of the Earth around the Sunday. Branching is not only in trees, but also in rivers and lightning and lungs. The same geometry appears in the smallest and the largest, in the fleeting and the eternal. This repetition whispers something deep, that nature is not chaos, but pattern, that behind the variety of the world lies a quiet order, simple shapes repeated across scales. To see them is to be reminded that you are part of this order too. Your own body is geometry, from the arcs of your bones to the spirals of your DNA. The ancients saw this. They looked at the heavens and traced circles in the paths of planets. They looked at seashells and saw spirals that echoed the stars. They built temples with symmetry, reflecting the balance they saw in nature. To them, geometry was sacred, not just a tool for building, but a language of the divine. And even now, the shapes remain. They are not relics of thought, but truths of the world. A child still draws circles, spirals, lines, repeating the same alphabet of geometry the Earth has always known. An architect still builds with symmetry. A scientist still studies the branching of rivers and the spirals of storms. The shapes do not fade, because they are not inventions. They are discoveries, uncovered again and again, because they are always there. There is comfort in this repetition. To see a spiral in a seashell is to see the galaxy too, and to know you are part of both. To trace a line in the sand is to echo the horizon. To look at a snowflake is to see the same balance mirrored in stars. Geometry reminds us that the world, for all its noise and change, carries a deep constancy. Shapes appear again and again, as steady as breath. So tonight, as you rest, imagine yourself surrounded by these shapes, a circle of calm enclosing you, spirals carrying your thoughts gently outward, branches spreading softly into dreams, symmetry balancing your mind. The geometry of nature is also the geometry of peace, guiding you into stillness. And yet, some patterns whisper more than shape. Among them lies a number, a ratio, a hidden balance that nature seems to love above all others. Let us drift now into the golden ratio and see how it quietly guides the forms of beauty. There is a number whispered through the shapes of the world. It is not whole, not simple, not easily seen at first glance. Yet again and again it appears, in seashells and flowers, in art and architecture, in the branching of trees, and even in your own body. This number is called the golden ratio, a hidden balance that nature seems to prefer. Mathematically, it is written as 1.618, an endless decimal, never repeating, never settling. To find it, divide a line into two parts, so that the longer part, divided by the smaller part, equals the whole divided by the longer. This balance, subtle and exact, gives a proportion that feels both natural and beautiful. The golden ratio is not just a number, it is a relationship, a harmony of parts. In the curve of a nautilus shell, you can trace it. As the shell spirals outward, each chamber grows in proportion to the last, expanding in a rhythm that echoes the golden ratio. The creature does not calculate, yet it builds by this law, creating a spiral both functional and beautiful. In the sunflower, too, the ratio shines. Look at its seeds, arranged in spirals radiating from the center. Count them, and you will find two sets of spirals, often 34-inch one direction and 55-inch the other, numbers from the Fibonacci sequence, a sequence closely tied to the golden ratio. The result is perfect packing, seeds filling space without gaps, efficiency born of elegance. Even in your body, the ratio whispers. The length of your forearm to your hand, the spacing of your facial features, the proportion of your spine's curves, all tend to hover near the golden ratio. It is not exact in everyone, but it is close enough that artists, sculptors, and architects have long used it to define beauty. The ancient Greeks built temples with it, believing it embodied perfection. The Parthenon's proportions align with the golden ratio, its columns and spaces creating harmony that endures. Renaissance artists, too, used it to frame their works, embedding the ratio in paintings, sculptures, and cathedrals. Even in music, some composers structured their pieces around it, letting melodies unfold in hidden balance. But what is most astonishing is that the ratio is not confined to human art. It is already present in nature, in forms that predate us by millions of years. Spirals in galaxies, hurricanes, pine cones, pineapples, all echo this same relationship. It is as though the universe itself has written the golden ratio into its code, a quiet preference repeated across scales. Why does nature use it? Perhaps because it is efficient. Spirals built on the ratio allow growth without changing shape, expansion without losing form. Seeds, shells, branches all benefit from its economy, but efficiency alone does not explain its beauty. Something in the human mind finds the ratio soothing, pleasing, right. We recognize harmony in it, even if we cannot name it. This is the hidden balance of the golden ratio. It bridges function and beauty, necessity and wonder. It is not imposed on the world by humans. It is discovered because it is already there. The number 1.618 is silent, invisible, but its presence shapes the curves we love, the forms we trust, the patterns that calm us. Imagine tracing the spiral of a shell in your hand, feeling its curve widen with each turn, steady and inevitable. Imagine looking at a sunflower, its seeds arranged in endless spirals, perfect and complete. Imagine standing before a temple, its proportions lifting your gaze, making you feel both grounded and elevated. In all these, the same ratio hums quietly beneath the surface, connecting seashell to flower, to stone, to you. There is peace in knowing this, that beauty is not random, that balance has a number, that the harmony you feel when you look at certain shapes is not only in your heart, but in the mathematics of the universe. So tonight, let the golden ratio soothe you. Picture a spiral, unfolding gently outward, each curve growing from the last, each step balanced with the whole. Picture yourself inside that spiral, carried outward into calm, held in proportion, resting in harmony. Numbers may seem cold in the light of day, but here in the quiet of night, they can cradle you like a lullaby, their hidden balance keeping you safe. And yet, the golden ratio is only one form of spiral, one way that nature unfolds. There are others, vast and small, curling through seashells and galaxies alike. Let us drift now into these spirals and see how the same curve can carry us from the smallest shell to the largest star. The spiral is one of nature's favorite shapes. It is simple, and yet it stretches across scales so vast they can hardly be compared. From the quiet curl of a seashell you can hold in your palm to the whirling arms of galaxies light years wide, the spiral repeats again and again. It is geometry in motion, a circle carried forward, a curve that never closes, but always expands. Look first at the seashell. In the curve of a snail's home, or the delicate chambered nautilus, you see a spiral that grows outward with each turn. It is not random. The shell expands in proportion, so that the creature inside always fits no matter how large it becomes. Growth happens, but shape remains. This is the logic of the spiral. Expansion without distortion. The animal never outgrows its home, for its home grows with it, step by step, curl by curl. If you trace your finger along such a shell, you feel the spiral's rhythm, each chamber larger than the last, each turn unfolding from what came before. It is as if the shell remembers its own history, carrying the story of its growth in geometry. The spiral is not only beauty, it is memory, written in curves. Now lift your gaze from the tiny to the immense. Look at the galaxies that drift in the night sky. Many of them, like our own Milky Way, are spiral galaxies. Their arms curve outward from a glowing center, vast streams of stars, gas and dust. From afar they resemble shells, their shape echoing what you saw in the sea. One spiral small enough to hold in your hand, another vast enough to hold billions of suns, yet both follow the same logic. Why does the spiral appear here too? The answer lies in motion. As galaxies spin, matter gathers in arms that curve outward. Gravity pulls, rotation turns, and the spiral emerges naturally, an echo of the same balance found in shells. What works for growth in the ocean works for the dance of stars. The spiral is not bound by scale. It is a pattern of order written into the rules of nature. Hurricanes, too, take this form. Seen from above, their clouds curl around a calm center, wind and rain forming spirals that resemble both shells and galaxies. Water down a drain can spiral the same way, tiny and fleeting yet echoing the same geometry. Spirals are born whenever motion meets rotation, whenever growth meets expansion. They are the universe's way of moving gracefully. What makes the spiral so calming is its continuity. Unlike a square, with its sharp edges, or a line, with its abrupt end, the spiral flows. It invites your eye to follow, to keep moving, to drift outward endlessly. It is both dynamic and peaceful, carrying energy yet never breaking. To gaze at a spiral is to feel carried, drawn into its motion, soothed by its rhythm. Artists and architects have long known this. They trace spirals in columns and domes, in paintings and gardens. The golden spiral, linked to the golden ratio, appears in Renaissance art and modern design alike. The spiral pleases us not because we were taught to love it, but because our bodies and our world already live in its rhythm. The cochlea in your inner ear, which allows you to hear, is shaped like a spiral. The horns of rams, the curling of ferns, the whirl of whirlpools, all spiral by the same rule. There is comfort in this universality. To hold a seashell is to hold a galaxy in miniature. To look at the sky is to see the ocean echoed above. Spirals remind us that the vast and the small are not strangers but siblings, repeating each other's forms. Perhaps that is why they calm us at night. They tell us that order exists, that growth is graceful, that expansion does not mean chaos. Spirals carry the promise of continuity, the reassurance that even as things grow, they remain in balance. So tonight, as you drift towards sleep, imagine yourself within a spiral. Picture a soft golden line curling outward, turning gently, carrying you like a leaf on a current. You are not lost. You are held, drawn into motion, guided along a path that is both endless and secure. The same path traced by seashells in the sand, by storms in the sky, by galaxies in the dark. The spiral surrounds you, in every scale, whispering its calm geometry. And yet, spirals are not the only infinite pattern. Some shapes repeat, not in curves, but in echoes, each part resembling the whole. Let us drift now into fractals, and see how infinity hides in the smallest things. Some patterns are simple. A circle, a spiral, a line. They are easy to trace, easy to follow. But nature also hides patterns that are more complex, more elusive, patterns that repeat themselves endlessly, no matter how closely you look. These are fractals, shapes where the small resembles the large, where each part is a reflection of the whole. Consider a fern leaf. From a distance you see one long frond. Look closer, and you notice that the frond is made of smaller leaflets, each shaped like the whole. Look closer still, and each leaflet carries tiny copies of the same shape. The pattern repeats again and again, each scale echoing the one above it. This is fractal geometry, self-similarity, infinity tucked into the smallest things. The coastline is another example. From an airplane, you see the sweep of the shore. From a boat, you see the jagged edges of rocks. From the sand, you see tiny grains, each making miniature cliffs and bays. No matter how closely you look, the roughness remains. The shape of the coast repeats across scales, never smooth, always fractal. Clouds, too, carry this echo. From a distance, a cloud looks like one great shape, but look closer, and you see it made of smaller billows, each resembling the whole. Closer still, each puff is built of yet smaller wisps. The pattern never resolves, it only repeats. Infinity hides in the sky. Mountains, trees, rivers, they all carry fractal forms. Mountains are not smooth pyramids but jagged folds, each ridge containing smaller ridges, each peak smaller peaks. Trees branch again and again, trunk to branches, branches to twigs, twigs to leaves, each division echoing the structure above. Rivers flow in the same way, channels dividing into streams, streams into rivulets, each split repeating the pattern. Even within your own body, fractals whisper. Your lungs branch into bronchi, bronchi into bronchioles, bronchioles into tiny air sacs, each division smaller but similar. Your blood vessels too split and split again, carrying life in fractal pathways. Infinity resides within you, as much as outside. The mathematics of fractals is complex, but the feeling they give is simple. They show us that the world is not flat, not smooth, not limited. It is textured, repeating, layered with infinity. Fractals are the geometry of nature's depth. They remind us that in every detail there is more detail, that the world cannot be fully reduced to simple lines. The term fractal is new, coined only in the 20th century, but the shapes themselves are ancient. Long before mathematicians gave them names, artists drew them, cultures wove them, shamans traced them in visions. Snowflakes, with their repeating branches, are fractals in ice. Lightning, splitting the sky, is a fractal in light. Coral reefs, branching endlessly, are fractals in stone. The world has always carried them, long before we could explain them. What is most soothing is their paradox. Fractals are complex, yet simple. They are infinite, yet familiar. They are chaotic, yet ordered. To look at one is to feel both awe and calm, to see infinity captured in a single shape. It is a reminder that the universe holds more than we can see, yet it shows us just enough to rest in its pattern. Imagine staring into a fern leaf at night. Each leaflet glows faintly, echoing the shape of the whole. The pattern repeats into the darkness, carrying your gaze outward and inward at once. You do not need to solve the mathematics. You need only to let the repetition soothe you to feel the comfort of infinity unfolding. Fractals teach us that nothing is truly isolated. Every part belongs to a whole, and every whole contains its parts. The smallest vein in a leaf reflects the structure of the tree. The smallest ripple in a wave reflects the motion of the sea. You too are part of a larger fractal, the pattern of life, repeating in countless forms. And perhaps that is why fractals calm us. They remind us that we are not alone, not separate. We are echoes of larger patterns, and we carry them within us. To rest in a fractal is to rest in belonging, to know that infinity is not cold, but familiar. So tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine the world as a fractal. Picture a branching tree, each twig smaller yet similar, fading into endless detail. Picture clouds repeating into wisps, rivers splitting into streams. Picture your own breath, carried through fractal lungs, joining the pattern of air and sky. Let the repetition carry you, infinite yet gentle, into sleep. And yet, fractals are only one whisper of mathematics in nature. There are also numbers themselves, hidden in petals and seeds, guiding how flowers bloom and how gardens grow. Let us drift now into Fibonacci's garden, where numbers blossom quietly in every leaf. Walk into a garden, and at first you see only beauty, blossoms unfolding, petals glowing in sunlight, seeds scattered in silence. But look closer, and you find numbers. Hidden in the symmetry of flowers, in the spiral of seeds, in the quiet architecture of plants, a sequence repeats again and again. This is the Fibonacci sequence, numbers unfolding like petals, guiding nature with invisible hands. The sequence begins simply. Start with one, then another one. Add them together, and you get 2. Add the last 2 again. 1 and 2 make 3. Then 2 and 3 make 5. Then 3 and 5 make 8. The pattern continues. 13, 21, 34. Each number the sum of the 2 before it. This gentle progression, so simple at its start, stretches endlessly into infinity. At first it seems like just a game of numbers, but then you see it in the world. Count the petals of many flowers, and you will often find Fibonacci numbers. 3 petals, 5 petals, 8, 13. Lilies carry 3, buttercups 5, daisies 34 or even 55. The numbers are not perfect in every plant, but they appear often enough that the pattern feels woven into life itself. Look at a sunflower, and the sequence grows more striking. Its seeds are arranged in spirals radiating from the center, curving both left and right. Count them carefully, and you will often find 34 spirals one way and 55 the other, or 55 and 89, or even higher Fibonacci pairs. The arrangement is not chosen for beauty but for efficiency. By following the sequence, the seeds pack tightly, filling space without gaps, maximizing growth. Numbers create not only harmony, but practicality. Pine cones, too, carry the sequence. The woody scales spiral around the cone in two directions, their counts often matching Fibonacci numbers. Pineapples reveal the same, their diamond pattern built of spirals whose counts follow the sequence. Even cauliflower and Romanesco broccoli carry it, their florets repeating spirals upon spirals, each count tied to the sequence. Why does this happen? The answer lies in growth. When plants sprout new leaves or petals, they often do so at angles related to the golden ratio, which is closely linked to the Fibonacci sequence. This angle ensures that each new leaf avoids shading the ones below, giving every leaf sunlight. Over time, the arrangement creates spirals and counts that reflect the sequence. It is nature's way of balancing beauty and function. But beyond biology, the sequence also stirs something in the human mind. The numbers feel familiar, almost soothing, as though they carry a rhythm our eyes and hearts recognize. We see them not only in plants but in art, architecture, even music. Ancient builders used them to design temples, artists used them to frame paintings, composers used them to structure melodies. Wherever harmony was sought, Fibonacci's sequence often appeared. And yet, what is most calming is not the efficiency or the artistry, but the quiet universality. To see numbers in petals is to see order in life. To see spirals in seeds is to see infinity tucked into a flower. The same numbers that count your days, your years, also count the arrangement of blossoms in a field. The language of mathematics, often abstract, becomes intimate here, written in every garden. Imagine standing before a sunflower. Its face is wide, golden, filled with seeds arranged in spirals so perfect they seem drawn by hand, and yet no hand drew them. They grew by simple rules, by numbers repeating softly, by geometry whispering beneath the surface. You are not looking at randomness, but at a story of numbers, unfolding as quietly as petals. Or imagine holding a pine cone, turning it in your hand. The scales overlap in spirals, each count a Fibonacci number, each curve a reflection of hidden mathematics. You are holding not only wood, but a sequence carried through generations, repeated in every cone, in every tree. There is peace in this, that even in the smallest garden infinity resides, that every flower carries a story older than thought, older than science, older than you. That numbers, far from being cold or distant, are woven into life itself, into petals and seeds, into growth and bloom. So tonight, as you drift, picture a sunflower in the dark. Its spirals glow faintly, curving outward, each turn guided by Fibonacci's numbers. Picture a garden where every leaf, every blossom, every seed carries the same sequence, repeating endlessly. Let the numbers soothe you, their rhythm as steady as breath, their pattern as calm as sleep. And yet, not all patterns are spirals and numbers. Some are mirrors, reflections, balances. Let us drift now into symmetry and see how nature builds its beauty with equal halves. There is a quiet satisfaction in symmetry. It is the calm of balance, the comfort of seeing one side reflect the other. You find it in a butterfly's wings, in the mirrored arms of a starfish, in the six-fold pattern of a snowflake. Symmetry is nature's mirror, a reminder that balance is not only pleasing, but also necessary. When you look at a butterfly resting in the stillness of dusk, you notice that each wing is not only beautiful on its own, but made more beautiful by its twin. Left and right, matching in color, in pattern, in form, the butterfly does not know this, but we feel it. The harmony of reflection, the assurance that the world can be balanced. Snowflakes are another wonder. Each begins as a tiny crystal of ice, growing as water molecules join in the air. The rules of chemistry guide them, binding molecules at angles that repeat again and again. The result is symmetry, 6 arms branching outward, each mirroring the others, unique in detail but equal in form. To hold a snowflake is to hold geometry frozen, a pattern too delicate to last, yet too perfect to forget. Flowers, too, love symmetry. Petals radiate outward, often in balanced numbers, each side reflecting its opposite. Some blossoms are radial, like wheels of color. Others are bilateral, like faces turned toward the Sunday. Either way, their balance soothes the eye, reminding us that nature builds not only with efficiency, but with beauty. Even your own body carries symmetry. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 hands, 2 feet, each side echoing the other. The balance is not perfect. Inside, organs shift and twist, but outwardly, symmetry defines us. It is how faces are recognized, how bodies are built, how balance is maintained. Without it, movement would falter, perception would blur. Symmetry is not only aesthetic, it is functional. Why does nature love symmetry? Partly, it is practical. Balanced wings allow flight, balanced bodies allow movement, balanced petals attract pollinators. Symmetry makes survival easier. But it also seems to carry an element of order, a preference for harmony, written into the fabric of growth. When molecules gather, they often arrange themselves symmetrically. When animals evolve, symmetry often gives them advantage. Across scales, the mirror repeats. And yet, symmetry is never absolute. Look closer at a butterfly's wings, and you will find tiny differences, patterns not quite identical, colors slightly shifted. Snowflakes too, though symmetrical in principle, carry imperfections in detail. Even your own face, so familiar, is not truly identical on both sides. Symmetry in nature is balance but not rigidity. It is harmony, softened by variation, order made gentle by imperfection. This, perhaps, is why symmetry feels human. We seek it, we love it, but we live within its limits. Perfect mirrors are rare. What we find instead is near symmetry, echoes of balance. And this is enough. The world does not demand perfection, only harmony. Artists and architects have long followed this lesson. Temples and cathedrals rise with mirrored halves, gardens spread in balanced designs, artworks frame their subjects with symmetry. The human eye rests when balance is present. It does not strain, it does not wander. Symmetry soothes. But nature reminds us, always, that balance is not stillness. A bird in flight beats both wings together, but never without motion. A snowflake holds 6 arms, but each grows uniquely as it falls. Symmetry is not frozen perfection, it is living balance, flexible and breathing. Imagine tonight a meadow of flowers, each blossom radiating symmetry into the dark. Imagine a forest of butterflies, their wings folding and opening like mirrors breathing. Imagine a snowfall, each flake descending with 6-fold grace, vanishing as it lands. The symmetry surrounds you, reminding you that the world, for all its chaos, seeks balance. There is comfort in this, that your own body, your own breath, your own heartbeat are built on symmetry, that the universe, vast and unruly, still prefers balance, that even imperfection belongs, woven gently into order. So as you rest, let symmetry cradle you. Picture 2 halves of yourself mirrored in calm. Picture balance holding you, left and right, above and below. You are part of nature's mirror, part of its balance, part of its harmony. And yet, nature's patterns are not only in stillness, but also in motion. Waves, ripples, and orbits carry their own mathematics, guiding the rhythms of sea and sky. Let us drift now into the mathematics of movement, where even motion finds its pattern. Not all patterns in nature are still. Many are alive with motion, shifting and flowing, yet guided by rules as precise as any crystal or snowflake. Among these living patterns are waves, ripples, and orbits, movements that repeat with such grace that they seem almost musical. They are mathematics in motion, rhythms written into the fabric of the world. Consider waves on the sea. Watch as they rise and fall, one after another, never the same, and yet always familiar. Beneath their beauty lies mathematics, crests and troughs, amplitude and wavelength, cycles repeating in time. The ocean does not think of numbers, yet it obeys them. The push of wind, the pull of gravity, the depth of water, all combine to create forms that roll with quiet inevitability. Each wave is a curve drawn by forces invisible, shaped by laws older than memory. Ripples tell the same story. Drop a stone into still water, and rings spread outward. Each ring is a circle expanding, each perfectly spaced from the next, each fading gently into silence. What you see is energy moving, disturbance spreading, mathematics unfolding in water. The ripple is not random. Its timing and distance can be measured, predicted, described. Yet to the eye, it is simply calming, order made visible, motion made soft. In the air, too, waves move. Sound is nothing but waves, vibrations traveling through air, rising and falling in pressure. When you hear a bird's song or the hush of wind, you are listening to waves. Your ears catch their rhythm, your brain decodes their patterns. Even your own voice as you breathe out words is carried on waves, soft and mathematical, flowing from lungs to air to ears. Light, too, is a wave. The colors of a sunset, the twinkle of stars, the glow of fireflies, all are waves of energy, vibrating at different frequencies. Red is a slow wave, blue a faster one, violet faster still. The world of color is simply the world of waves, written in light. You do not see the equations, but you see their beauty, scattered across the sky. And then there are orbits, the great circles of motion that bind planets to stars and moons to planets. Look at the moon as it drifts across the night. Its path is not random, but guided by gravity, by a mathematics of balance between pull and speed. The Earth, too, follows its orbit around the Sun, a curve traced in silence, repeating year after year. Orbits are waves on the grandest scale, cycles of time, patterns of movement that cradle life. These motions are steady, yet never rigid. Waves can combine, amplifying or cancelling, creating patterns of harmony or chaos. Ripples can meet, forming lattices of circles, delicate and fleeting. Orbits can shift, pulled by other bodies, dancing in resonance. The mathematics is precise, yet the forms are alive. To watch them is to feel both certainty and wonder. Animals, too, carry these rhythms. Birds beating wings in waves, fish swimming in ripples, the orbits of migration repeating each year. Even your own heart beats in waves of contraction and rest. Your breath rises and falls like the tide. The body is not separate from these patterns, it is built of them. You are a wave too, carried in rhythm. What makes these motions soothing is their repetition. To see a wave is to know another will follow. To hear a heartbeat is to trust the next beat will come. To trace an orbit is to know the Earth will return again to spring. Waves, ripples, and orbits remind us that movement can be ordered, that change can carry stability, that the world's motion is not chaos, but rhythm. Imagine yourself by a quiet lake at night. The air is still. You drop a pebble into the water, and ripples spread outward, perfectly circular, fading into calm. Or picture yourself by the sea, waves rolling gently, their crests catching moonlight, their rhythm steady as breath. Or lift your gaze to the sky, watching the moon arc slowly, knowing it has followed the same path for billions of years. In all these, the mathematics is the same. Circles, cycles, waves, repeating endlessly. There is peace in this, to know that motion need not be disorder, that change can carry predictability, that the universe moves in harmony. Even in uncertainty, rhythm remains. Even in silence, cycles continue. So tonight, as you rest, imagine yourself floating on a wave, rising and falling gently, carried without effort, repeating endlessly. Imagine your breath as ripples, spreading outward, fading into calm. Imagine your thoughts as orbits, circling quietly, returning to stillness. The mathematics of motion is also the mathematics of peace, guiding you into dreams. And yet, not all motion is predictable. Some patterns break into turbulence, into chaos that is still strangely ordered. Let us drift now into the balance of uncertainty, where chaos and order meet. The world is not made only of balance and symmetry, of spirals and harmony. It also carries turbulence, winds that twist, rivers that flood, flames that leap. At first glance, these forces seem wild, unpredictable, without pattern, and yet, hidden beneath the surface, even chaos carries order. Nature's unpredictability is not emptiness, but complexity, mathematics written in storms. Consider the flow of water. A stream moves gently, smooth and clear, until it strikes a rock. Suddenly, eddies form, swirling circles breaking the calm. The water seems restless, but its movement still follows rules, rules too intricate for the eye to trace, but rules nonetheless. Scientists call this turbulence, the motion of fluids that seems random yet always arises from mathematics. The same is true of fire. Watch flames dance, and they appear untamed, leaping upward, bending sideways, shifting colors, yet their movement follows laws of heat, air, and fuel. Fire spreads in patterns, though no two flames are ever the same. What looks like chaos is really an orchestra too complex to follow, yet still guided by physics. Weather, too, is born of this balance. Winds swirl, clouds gather, storms rise, rain falls. Each detail is uncertain, changing from hour to hour. But step back, and patterns emerge, seasons repeating, climates stabilizing, cycles returning. Chaos does not erase order. It hides it in complexity. The flutter of a butterfly's wings may alter the path of a storm, but storms always come, rain always falls, balance always returns. Even within your body, chaos lives. Your heartbeat is steady, yet never identical. Each beat varies slightly, each breath shifts with time. Scientists find that this variability is not weakness but strength. A perfectly mechanical heart would falter. A living heart beats with complexity, with small chaos woven into rhythm. Life depends on this balance, order with uncertainty. Mathematicians call this chaos theory, the study of systems that are sensitive, unpredictable in detail, yet ordered in form. The famous image of it is the fractal called the Lorentz attractor, a shape like butterfly wings traced by equations. The path never repeats, never settles, yet always stays within bounds. Chaos is not destruction, it is freedom within form, infinite variety within invisible walls. This truth carries comfort, for it means that uncertainty does not mean disorder. The world may be unpredictable in detail, but stable in pattern. A river's ripples cannot be predicted moment by moment, yet the river always flows downhill. A storm's winds shift endlessly, yet the seasons always return. Life itself is uncertain, but its rhythms remain. There is beauty in this unpredictability. Imagine if every wave were identical, every flame motionless, every tree branch perfectly regular. The world would lose its vitality. Chaos adds variety, makes every snowflake unique, every cloud different, every moment unrepeatable. It is the unpredictability that makes the world alive. And yet, even as it surprises, chaos soothes, for within it there is always return. The river keeps flowing, the fire keeps burning, the seasons keep circling. The balance of uncertainty is not frightening, but reassuring. You do not need to know every detail to trust the pattern. Think of a starry night. The air stirs with breezes, never the same twice. The grass sways unpredictably. Clouds drift in shapes never to be repeated. Yet above, the stars hold their places. The earth turns steadily. The sky remains. Chaos dances beneath constancy. Both are true, both belong. Tonight, as you rest, let this balance calm you. You do not need to predict every thought, every dream, every breath. Let them come as they will, shifting like waves, drifting like clouds. Trust that beneath the small unpredictabilities, your body carries rhythm, your heart beats steady, your breath flows true. Chaos and order are not enemies, they are companions, weaving life together. So, close your eyes and imagine a river in the dark. Its surface flickers with ripples, no two alike, always shifting, yet the river flows forward, always toward the sea. This is the balance of uncertainty, details changing, pattern enduring, and in that truth there is rest. And yet, chaos and order are not limited to rivers or storms. They appear across scales, from the tiniest cells in your body to the vast structures of galaxies. Let us drift now into these patterns across life, where the small and the immense share the same mathematics. When you look closely at the world, you find that patterns do not belong to one scale alone. They stretch across everything, from the smallest cell beneath a microscope to the largest cluster of galaxies in the sky. The same mathematics that guides a leaf's veins can be seen in the rivers of Earth. The same spirals that curl in shells appear in storms and galaxies. Life is not divided between small and large, but woven together in repeating forms. Begin with the cell, the smallest unit of life. Within it, membranes fold, organelles cluster, DNA spirals into its elegant helix. Even here, geometry whispers. The double helix of DNA carries symmetry and proportion, spiraling endlessly to hold the code of life. Proteins fold into fractal-like structures, their shapes guided by mathematical rules of chemistry. The smallest building blocks are already full of pattern. Step outward, and you see tissues and organs, your lungs, branching like trees, split into smaller and smaller airways, fractal in design. Your circulatory system spreads like rivers, dividing and dividing until every cell is reached. Even the neurons in your brain branch like lightning, fractal paths connecting thought to thought. The body is a landscape of repeating geometry, each system an echo of the whole. Nature outside the body tells the same story. The veins of leaves spread like rivers, each branching to cover space with efficiency. Rivers themselves carve fractal maps across continents, branching as trees do, as lungs do. Clouds gather in billows that echo the shapes of mountains below them. The same mathematics runs through stone and sky, through water and wind. Look further, and you find spirals everywhere. The wall of a sunflower's seeds, the twist of a pinecone's scales, the curling arms of a spiral galaxy. Each spiral follows the same rules, the same balance of growth and space. The pattern that guides seeds in a flower is the same that shapes galaxies light years wide. The tiny and the vast are kin, joined by mathematics. Even chaos repeats. Lightning flashes in branching veins of light. Rivers carve similar veins in the land. Neurons spark in branching networks of thought. The forms are not identical, but they rhyme, as if nature has only a few songs played in countless variations. Why do these patterns appear again and again? Because they are efficient, because they are stable, because they balance growth and space, chaos and order. But beyond function, they are also beautiful. The mind finds comfort in their repetition. The eye rests in their harmony. Whether in a fern leaf or a galaxy, the same geometry soothes us, reminding us of connection. Think of this unity. The cell in your body, spiraling DNA within it, follows the same mathematical whisper as the stars above. The rivers flowing across the earth branch as your veins do. The storm in the sky swirls like the spiral in a shell. You are not separate from these patterns. You are part of them. Your body is a fractal of nature, your breath a wave, your thoughts branching like lightning, your life orbiting in cycles of time. There is comfort in this reflection, to know that the patterns of the world are not alien, but familiar. That when you look at the stars, you are looking at echoes of yourself. That when you watch a river, you are seeing your veins reflected. That when you hold a seashell, you are holding a galaxy in miniature. Patterns across life remind us of belonging. The universe is not random chaos, nor rigid order, but a balance of repeating forms. Cells, rivers, galaxies, they are all verses of the same poem. And you too are part of that poem. So tonight, as you close your eyes, picture these connections. Picture a leaf vein becoming a river branching into lightning, lightning echoing a neuron sparking into thought. Picture a sunflower's spiral stretching into the arms of a galaxy. Picture your breath rising and falling with the rhythm of tides. Let the patterns carry you, from the smallest to the largest, into a sense of belonging. And yet, after wandering through all these forms, spirals, fractals, waves and mirrors, we return to a final question. Why do these numbers and shapes comfort us? Let us drift now into that reflection and rest in the quiet assurance of patterns. There is a reason why patterns comfort us. Perhaps it is because they remind us that the world, for all its uncertainty, carries structure. Or perhaps it is because we ourselves are made of patterns, of breath that rises and falls, of heartbeats that repeat, of days and nights that circle endlessly. To rest in patterns is to rest in something that feels both eternal and familiar. Numbers lie at the heart of these patterns. Not numbers written on chalkboards, not calculations that demand effort, but numbers living quietly in forms and rhythms. The 2 eyes of a face, the 5 petals of a flower, The spirals of 34 and 55-inch a sunflower, the countless hexagons in a honeycomb. Numbers are there, not as abstractions but as companions. They are the hidden script of the world, written so softly that you need not even read it to feel its presence. Think of how patterns appear in time. Morning follows night, seasons turn, tides rise and fall. These cycles can be counted, days, months, years. Their repetition soothes us because they remind us that change is also stability. Tomorrow will come, spring will return, the tide will rise again. Even when life feels uncertain, these numbers hold steady, carrying us in rhythm. The body mirrors this. The human heartbeat is not only sound and pulse, it is mathematics. Each beat spaced in time, measured in numbers per minute. Each breath a cycle, rising and falling, repeat upon repeat. You are never apart from numbers. You live within them. They are not outside, but inside, shaping life, moment by moment. Even thought itself carries rhythm. Neurons fire in patterns, waves ripple through the brain. Alpha waves, beta waves, delta waves, all frequencies, all numbers, guiding sleep and wakefulness. The mind is not chaotic, it is musical, mathematical. Awareness itself is carried by pattern. Why do numbers soothe us? Because they remind us that we belong to something larger. To see a spiral in a shell and know that galaxies follow the same curve is to feel part of the universe. To count the petals of a flower and hear Fibonacci's sequence whisper is to know that life carries order. To watch the symmetry of snowflakes is to see balance repeated endlessly. In all these, numbers are the hidden thread, tying together the small and the vast. There is also humility in numbers. They stretch into infinity, yet appear in the simplest forms. A child counting pebbles is already touching the infinite. A gardener noticing 5 petals in a blossom is already in conversation with mathematics as old as the cosmos. You do not need equations to feel this. You only need to notice. And in noticing, you rest. For when your mind lingers on patterns, it lets go of noise. To watch ripples spread across water is to let thought settle. To trace a spiral is to follow a gentle path, never abrupt, never harsh. To breathe with rhythm is to find peace. Patterns do not demand, they offer. They invite you into their steadiness, their calm, their assurance. Imagine yourself in a garden at twilight. Flowers open in soft symmetry, petals counted in quiet numbers. Bees trace paths in hexagons, weaving honeycombs you cannot see but can imagine. Leaves unfold in spirals, sunflowers tilt in ratios, pine cones curl in Fibonacci's rhythm. The garden is alive with numbers, yet it does not shout them. It whispers them, softly enough to soothe. Now imagine looking up at the night sky, stars scattered in constellations, galaxies swirling in spirals, orbits repeating, rhythms carrying planets. You do not need to calculate their distances or periods. You only need to feel the assurance that their motion is steady, their cycles are sure. The universe is not chaos, it is pattern, patient, and eternal. Perhaps what is most comforting is that numbers are impartial. They do not judge, they do not favor, they do not waver. They simply are. Whether you notice them or not, they hold steady. A circle is always complete. A spiral is always unfolding. A sequence is always continuing. To rest in numbers is to rest in something constant, something beyond change. And yet, numbers are not rigid. They allow variation, they allow imperfection. No 2 snowflakes are alike, though all share symmetry. No 2 waves are the same, though all follow rhythm. No 2 hearts beat identically, though all sustain life. This is the gentle balance, patterns steady enough to comfort, flexible enough to breathe. So why do numbers soothe us? Because they mirror the truth of existence. We are both ordered and chaotic, steady and changing. We are cycles and spirals, symmetry and variation. Numbers remind us of this balance, and in reminding, they let us rest. As you lie here tonight, you can let these patterns hold you, your breath a wave, your heart a rhythm, your thoughts spirals unfolding and returning. You do not need to count. You only need to know that the count exists, steady and silent, carrying you through sleep. And so, we come to the end of our wandering. From circles and spirals, to fractals and symmetry, to waves and chaos, To patterns from cells to stars, we have followed the mathematics hidden in nature. We have not solved equations or written proofs. We have only listened to whispers of numbers in leaves, in rivers, in galaxies, in ourselves. The question was never about complexity. It was always about comfort. Why do patterns soothe us? Because they remind us that the universe is not empty, but connected. That life is not random, but rhythmic. That even in uncertainty, there is balance. Tonight, as you close your eyes, let numbers cradle you. Let symmetry hold you. Let spirals carry you outward into dreams. Let fractals remind you that infinity lives in the smallest things. Let orbits and cycles assure you that tomorrow will come, steady as ever. Good night, dreamer. May the hidden mathematics of the world soothe you. May its patterns guide you gently into rest. And may you wake tomorrow, carried by the same harmony that holds stars and seashells alike.